Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and welcome to the January 12th edition of Horses to Watch, where we carefully analyze trips from the past week, looking for horses that might have encountered adversity and could be worth betting back when they run in the future. This week, we're taking a look back at last weekend at Aqueduct. We've got one race to talk about from Saturday, January 8th, and two races to talk about from their Sunday, January 9th card. Let's begin with the race from that Saturday card. It is the seventh race, a New York bred optional claiming 45,000 nominators of two other than the allowance condition for fillies and mares going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Let's break these runners from the gate. And we're going to focus on the horse that breaks from the rail, the number 2, My Roxy Girl. Now, she was going first off the claim in this race for a Parks-based trainer, Silvina Ramirez, who doesn't run that many horses at NYRA. And he named a rider on her, Raul Mena, who's gotten some opportunities through the first few months of this Aqueduct meet, but has not had that much success riding winners. And I think you can see why with rides like this. My Roxy Girl arguably should have won this race, but as you see this field and race start to unfold, you're going to see that the rider gets this horse into some trouble all the way as they move into the far turn. You can see she's all the way back in about 7th position already, when she's a horse that typically likes to do her running towards the front end. Just got shuffled back coming out of the starting gate and down the backstretch. Now she's in this awkward position between horses moving around the far turn. She's going to slip through inside of that tiring runner with the pink silks to her outside, coming to the quarter pole here. But right at this point, the quarter pole, Raul Mena makes that decision that turns out to be the wrong one, to stay inside behind the two tiring front runners rather than try to angle to the outside. And the eventual winner in the red cap, who's 3 wide, Rubies and Time, is going to get that clear run to the front end, whereas My Roxy Girl, you can see her in behind that wall of 3 runners. She is just stuck in behind in traffic for about a good 1/8 of a mile from the quarter pole to the middle of the stretch, and she eventually gets through, kind of bullying her way through at the 16th pole there. But the race has already been decided at that point, the eventual winner getting the jump on her. So just not the kind of ride that you want to see a horse get. She arguably could have won this race, though I'd be hesitant to be too enthusiastic about looking to bet her back in her subsequent start, because there are some things to remember about My Roxy Girl. She's a horse whose good form was totally exposed coming into this race. She had really been running some of her best career efforts for the Juan Vasquez barn before getting claimed by this Parks-based trainer, Ramirez, for this last Aqueduct start. She was also claimed out of this race by Linda Rice, who's had this horse in the past. And Linda didn't always get the best performances out of My Roxy Girl. Maybe that'll change now that she's in good form as she comes back into Linda Rice's barn. But even with that trouble, My Roxy Girl got a 78 buyer, which is right in line with all of her recent efforts. She's just a horse whose good form has been exposed, and I think she might get a little overbet off this trip. Like I said, she probably would have won this race, but the difference in the amount of trouble she had was probably at most 1.5 lengths, and I wouldn't overestimate that when she runs back for the new barn next time out. Let's move on to a couple of races from Sunday, and we're going to talk about a race that went as the 6th on the card. This is a claiming 14,000 nominators of 3 lifetime, going that same 6 furlong distance. Let's break these runners from the gate, and I want to focus on the number 5 horse, Irish Giant. This is a horse that's going out for the Mert Can Counter Mossy barn. Actually, another runner that was coming in from Parks, though this horse has been based in New York for a while, just made one start at Parks in his last race, now dropping in class for the return to NYRA down to this bottom level condition claiming race. Now, this race had no early speed on paper, and the number 3 Deputy Flag, no surprise that this horse was able to get to the front end. He is a very fast runoff speed type, and without any other speed in the race to go with him, he was always going to be really tough to run down. Actually, a funny thing to note about this race is Irish Giant, the horse that I'm highlighting, is the half-brother to Deputy Flag, but they just have very different styles. Deputy Flag is a speedball, and Irish Giant, out of that same dam, No More Flags, he has no early speed. So Irish Giant really compromised by the way this race unfolded. That's him towards the back of the pack in second to last position right now. He swings to the outside for this run into the stretch, and it kind of looks like he's going to get nothing past the quarter pole, because this race is not exactly falling apart. Deputy Flag got the fractions that he needed on the front end. He's just going to widen through the lane, but note that Irish Giant does get up to just miss for second in this race. It doesn't look like that's going to happen as he leaves the screen pass on the 8th pole here, but this horse has a really potent late kick on him. He's a strong finisher, and he's going to get up to just miss passing that gray horse, Merchants of Cool, for second in this race. Now, another thing that's worth noting about Irish Giant is, kind of like My Roxy Girl in the race we just talked about, Irish Giant was claimed out of this effort by that same trainer, Linda Rice, and Again, this is a reclaim by Linda Rice. Linda had this horse at the start of his career, just lost him to American Cantor Mossy a few starts ago in a claiming race at Naira. But after he went to Parks, Linda Rice claimed him back out of this race. And this is a horse that, even though he doesn't run the fastest speed figures in the world, Linda Rice had been reluctant to drop this horse in for a low-level claiming tag in the past. And it felt like when she had this horse, she almost campaigned him like she expected him to have more of a move forward than he showed in her barn. So the fact that she's dipping back in to claim this horse again, I feel like she wants another shot at this horse, and she feels like there's more to him than what he's shown us so far on the racetrack. He's a relatively lightly raced 6-year-old. I think this was just the 8th or 9th start of his career. So I feel like there might be more in the tank to Irish Giant, and maybe if he gets a bit more distance and a bit more pace next time out, he could be dangerous going back into that Linda Rice barn. Final race we're going to talk about from that last week at Aqueduct was the final race on Sunday, January 9th, race 9, a New York bred maiden special weight going 7 furlongs for the 3-year-olds. Let's break these runners from the gate, and I want to focus on a first-time starter in this race, the number 7 Beach Boyale. A bit hard to see coming out of the starting gate because he's breaking in among many horses. There is a phalanx of horses vying for the front end in this race, and that's Beach Boyale, who's the widest of them, a little hard to see moving down the backstretch. He is the number 7 in the turquoise and yellow towards the outside. He is chasing that early leader, Raw Courage. The thing to note about this race, though, is for the 7 furlong distance over a day when the Aqueduct main track was pretty demanding, they're laying down some pretty quick fractions for this level. 22 and 4 for the opening quarter. They go 46 and change for the half mile. And the final time for this race is going to be upwards of 1:27 for 7 furlongs. So this race really does fall apart at the end. And that's why I want to highlight the trip of Beach Boyale, because he is doing all the hard work on the front end, trying to go after that long shot leader, Raw Courage. You can see Kendrick Carmouche, who's riding Beach Boyale. He's pressing this horse to go after that leader coming to the top of the stretch, kind of riding the race like that's the horse that he has to beat. And they come past the quarter pole with a significant advantage on the rest of the field. But you're going to see as they straighten away for the stretch, this race begins to fall apart. The horses that are going to be successful, they're actually the 2 horses that are on the inside, back about 5 lengths off the pace right now. And you're going to see the entire field kind of come together like an accordion in the final 8th of a mile here. But notice Beach Boyale, he actually collars that early leader, gets past him with about a 16th of a mile to go. Briefly looks like he might win the race, but you can see these 2 leaders are very tired. Those taxing early fractions have taken their toll by this point. And Beach Boyale, even though he forged the lead at the 16th pole, he actually winds up finishing 5th in this race. But in situations like this, I like to look at the Time Form US charts, the Time Form US pace and speed figures, and the early pace figures for this race are color-coded red in Time Form US PPs, indicating that the pace was fast. And furthermore, Beach Boyale got a 91 Time Form US speed figure, a number that is elevated due to the fact that the pace was fast. And that 91 Time Form US speed figure actually 7 points faster than the winner of this race got, Hot Stepper, because that horse came from off the pace, whereas Beach Boyale got a bonus for setting that fast pace. So I think that this is a horse that debuted for Bruce Levine that might be able to take a step forward in his subsequent start if he doesn't encounter as fast a pace to contend with. So one to look forward to when he runs back second time out in maiden company. Well, those are all the horses to watch for this week. Remember that you want to follow these horses in the future. You can add them to your horse watch on DRF.com. Just add them to a list and you'll get email notifications when they run back in the future. Thanks for tuning in to this episode, and make sure to catch future episodes of Horses to Watch on upcoming Wednesdays.